We have several problems. First of all, profitability, value added to the consumer. We also don't understand the business we're in. We're not good business owners. We're not using the entire map we're not using all the gadgets out there.
The tools, yeah.
So we're not using the tools. We're not hedging. We're not either for the producer or the roaster correctly. We're not exploring all the different financial abilities out there.
This episode is proudly brought to you by Mapper Forward's workshop. It's time to become a coffee consultant. Learn how to diversify your revenue streams and create freedom from your day job while saying goodbye to that alarm clock forever by becoming a consultant within the coffee industry or directly to consumers who have shifted towards home brewing and home roasting. Protect your income from challenging times in the coffee value chain by taking this course today. Go to mapperforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the show notes for details. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 1 of what I think is going to be my favorite series of 2024. I feel like I really started this podcast the last time you and I had when we had our very first conversation on this podcast. So with Felipe. So Felipe Croce, I'm so excited to have you back on the podcast. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, Lee. It's a huge pleasure and an honor. I agree with you. I think we've evolved so much from our first conversation and personally, and I think the industry is evolving so much. So I'm so excited to be back and catch up with you where we are at and what we think about our industry.
We are going to be talking about the same kind of stuff that we talked about in that first conversation. And to give everyone some context, when we had this conversation, it was probably 6 years ago now. I think it was 2018 or 2019. We were starting this. So there was the coffee price crisis is what we were talking about back then. And it was me. Sorry?
For the farmer.
For the farmer, right? Coffee price crisis for the farmer. The price was below $1 a pound on the C market. It was me, you, and Stephen from Ecom. And we were kind of trying to understand the C market. And we fumbled our way through a 3-hour conversation and broke all of our brains as well as the listeners. And it kind of set me on this path of real understanding of the ignorance that I had about what really is the coffee industry. And you and I have spent the last few years independently and together kind of learning about these different things and exploring these different things and swapping facts and what a wild ride since then. And we're going to revisit a lot of that stuff today because now we are not in the coffee price crisis for the producer. We are in a coffee everything crisis across the entire supply chain, and we're all in this together now, whether we like it or not. So we are specifically, folks, talking about in this whole series the current situation in what I'm calling the coffee crisis from the perspective of the coffee producer. And it is really important for us to get it from the perspective of somebody like Felipe, because Felipe is a producer as well as an exporter, and you do direct relationships with the people that you sell the coffees to, and you take care of the logistics from that side. So because you are like a vertically integrated, for all intents and purposes, business, you have a kind of insight that not many people have, very few people in this industry have. So I'm excited to have this discussion with you. Now, before we get started and deep dive into what we're going to talk about today, please remind everybody about FAF, your business.
Yeah, well, it's a huge pleasure to be back on the podcast. I'm really proud of what the podcast has become, and I should start by saying we needed this in our industry. We needed a space for long form content and really like disruptive talk and ideas. And I think you really created that space for us, which was lacking.
Thank you.
So FAF is a farm. Fazenda Ambiental Fortaleza, which translates to Environmental Fortress Farm, started by, it's actually, I'm the fifth generation, but my mother inherited in 2000 and decided to become organic and created that name. And then through that, my dad was in import exports and we were living in Chicago, started selling direct to roasters because the people we sold to at that time did not have an organic program. And through that, we became exporters as well. And we created a group of producers that we work together. We're now in 3 states, São Paulo, Minas Gerais, Espírito Santo. We have 20 communities, I should say, where we're on the ground with an origin team, agronomists, and a quality team. And we really help producers become the best producer they can. And we push them in a quality and sustainable direction and help link them with roasters, with the roasters, and help roasters understand Brazil, understand. I like to use a metaphor that coffee is a song. And it's 3 instruments mainly, the terroir, genetics, and process. And there are lots of genres. And we help roasters understand the many songs and people behind that. So we help. We specialize in helping create more direct relationships. In the US, we have our own import company, so we sell to small roasters as well. So we've been doing this since my dad started in 2004 and I joined in 2007.
Amazing. And you're a very values-based business and a very intentional business owner from everything I've experienced. You're kind of the what we're looking at cultivating more of in this industry, right?
Yeah, I think we are definitely values first. I've come to realize after 17 years in the industry that it's actually, I don't know the percentage, but I would say more than 50% is values. Mm-hmm. And I think flavor is second, and we'll get into that later. Yeah. Of course, you need to have incredible coffee, but I used to always sort of naively or arrogantly say when I was younger, I want to make the best coffee in the world. And recently we changed that as a group, as a company. We did a workshop and we've decided we want to make the best coffee for the world, and everything that has entitled to that. So whether you're buying the first grade, second grade, third grade, and there's a moment for different coffees, and a specialty coffee grows and goes from the really high-end experience of a barista cafe to other areas. There is an objective change in quality, let's say, for that moment, price. But for me, it's about the values first of that coffee for all of those grades, and helping roasters be able to have that product for each context and moment and connect with people.
Mm-hmm. We're going to explore that quite deeply through this series, because in this particular conversation, we're going to be looking at the basic economics of coffee and coffee trading. Now, when you look at the difference between creating the best coffee in the world versus creating the best coffee for the world, you can't do that without taking into account the economics that's involved in all of that. I mean, it really is this whole new shift in perspective, and particularly the way that the coffee crisis is presenting itself. At the hallmark of it is economics. And for those who are listening into this and thinking, yeah, but finance, money isn't everything. Economics is not just about finance. Economics is about supply and demand of everything, of labor, of people, of small businesses, of product, of commodities, of all of these things. The economics of this is reaching quite a very interesting intersection in the history of our industry and the world, to be honest. But we're going to continue only being focused on coffee here. So let's talk about what the basics of economics in our industry are. How would you describe the basics of the economics in our industry?
Hey, I agree. I think that's where everything starts
Hmm.
on a philosophical level and on
Hmm.
a fundamental level. And I
Hmm.
think that's where we got lazy in specialty coffee. Because Lee, I think we need to look ourselves in the mirror and we need to admit that we work in a commodity business,
Word.
um, and everything that that entails,
Mm.
and under what what we mean by when we say what are the fundamentals. And I think that on a philosophical and political level, it's what do you believe in? What are you trying to who are you trying to sell to, and what kind of product are you using? So, you know, I'm bouncing around, but I don't want to sell coffee to rich people, or let's say I don't want to sell coffee just to rich people. I want to sell coffee to everyone.
Hmm.
So to make that happen in every way that I can. So I think that if we analyze the world that we live in now, and when we had our last conversation, we're in a very different scenario.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
we were.
So I think that, we don't need to be experts, PhD knowledge and everything, but we need to really go back and study and have people around us that are experts that we can talk to, um, because we cannot just pretend like because we're better at roasting, we have fancier machines, we're better at cupping, that's just going to make us successful.
Mm.
I think that 2014 to 2019 was a time of low interest rates, high growth, and very cheap commodities.
And massive
Okay.
risk appetite.
And massive risk appetite, and as a specialty coffee industry, um, our value proposition compared to commodity coffee was huge. We did not have to work very hard. Um, and I think that we had this sort of new model, that was popping up around the world, but like the big guys caught up, you know, and we got lazy. So I think that it's very important for us to understand the macroeconomics, at least basics of
Hmm.
macroeconomics. So you've got these, let's say, more or less four quadrants, but of course there's a little bit more to it. But you've got high growth, low interest, low inflation, high growth, high inflation, low growth, low inflation, and so on. How does that do? So, we were adding value, the producers, the exporters, the shippers, the importers, the roasters, the coffee shops, the people that were creating a brand and brand experience were adding value at that time. And if you look at Geneva, those guys were cutting the fat. They were struggling,
Mm.
the commodity brokers, because there was no volatility. We could talk about coffee price with roasters, and it would just stay flat. I mean, it was just a flat price all across the board. My dad was more running the show at that point up until 2018 was a big year because I started to assume the role of CEO in the company
Mm.
and new things. And then I also assumed the head of the farm. I rent the farm, a part of the farm from my mom. So I became full-on producer since 2018. I had sort of gone on and off from the farm. At the time, I had two coffee shops and a roastery, successful coffee shops and a roastery as well. And I decided to close those down and focus on green coffee. And it has just been just, yeah, it's just
A
been a
roller
wave after
coaster.
wave. Yeah. The more I've tried to put in systems, it's just been, I have just been humbled time and time again
Mm.
in the past years. And I think that now coffee is talking about a coffee crisis, and the commodity brokers are popping champagne bottles. And I'm like, what is going on here? So um, they live off of volatility. And there are sometimes external factors that we cannot control inside our own business. So we need to realize that a commodity price of $1, we are an added value just because roasters are willing to pay between 2 and 250, sweet spot somewhere around there, let's say less or more, whatever,
Hmm.
uh, for a lot of stuff. But a commodity price of 250, and specialty roasters are not being able to raise that. And 250 commodity price is higher than we were paying for most producers back when the market was $1, right?
Yeah.
And the commodity markets, they have their own advantages. The co-op systems and stuff, they pay upfront, no terms. They don't ask for all this cupping and samples and back and forth. They give you more terms on fertilizers and stuff like that, the more coffee you give. And so I think that part of business is understanding a strategy to mitigate risk at certain points when at different times. So, I think that the world we live in now is not the world we lived in from 2014 to 2019. If I were to bet, I would bet, that politics keep getting crazier at the moment. Chances of wars getting worse, and more stressful. Logistics is getting worse, and climate change is really, really throwing us off. And I think we can fix all those things, but especially in the next few years, I would say that I would bet on volatility. And if we just sit here and sort of ignore all these things and wish that things would just go back to what they were, and wish that, why doesn't coffee just go back to a 140C or something? I think we're going to be very, very frustrated. So I think we need to adapt and understand what mechanisms there are out there, and how we can mitigate the risk in a whole array of different scenarios. And but also, how do we look back in the mirror and say, when did we become a commodity again as a specialty coffee industry? When did we lose our value proposition to customers and to farmers?
So much there. And I think that this idea that the thing that we need to bet on is volatility is at the hallmark of how we face fixing where we are. And I hope this doesn't upset too many people. Well, let's be real, at this point of the game, I don't think that that's possible anymore. Everyone's irate about what's going on, but we can't miss this opportunity. This moment and the volatility that we have presents us with a fantastic opportunity to fix so many things that are broken. And if we don't bunker down and fix them right now, we're going to miss the boat. And this is why I'm so excited about this conversation with you, Felipe, because you're somebody who more often than not turns me into somebody who's hopeful. And that's not necessarily thank you for doing that, because I can get lost down some rabbit holes sometimes, and you always bring me back to, but let's look at the hopeful side of things. And that's a very valuable thing to have, because given I have many conversations with a whole bunch of people that are saying, for the first time in our industry across the entire supply chain, everybody's saying, Lee, how do we fix this? And they've got one disaster story after another, after another, after another. You've got people now contacting friends of mine, trying to come on the podcast so that they can tell their disaster story. And I don't want us to get stuck in this rut of just telling disasters and just talking about the disasters. There is a unique opportunity here for us to say, well, and you say this to me all the time, we just got to tell roasters to put up their prices. There's no other way of looking at this. Roasters just have to put their prices up. If they still want specialty coffee, the supply is going down, they have to just keep putting up their prices. That's a solution. Well, and it's a solution people are trying to avoid, but it's the only solution here if we're going to keep this ship moving forward.
Yeah. Let me take a step back here and let me tread with care, because I know it's not it's easy for us to say, and some roaster that's listening is like, yeah, rolling their eyes. Well, yeah, it's easy for you to say, raise your prices, right? I think, how do we, you said, how do we fix this? Sometimes in life, we have to break things so that we can fix them. We need to create out of destruction. We need to destroy so we can create, basically. So we need to look ourselves in the mirror and realize our faults and our problems, humans as a whole. When we have issues, we only start creating something better when we realize we have a problem. So, we have several problems. First of all, profitability, value added to the consumer. We also don't understand the business we're in. We're not good business owners. We're not using the entire map we're not using all the gadgets out there.
The tools, yeah.
So we're not using the tools. We're not hedging. We're not either for the producer or the roaster correctly. We're not exploring all the different financial abilities out there. And we're not convincing the consumer. So from a quality standpoint, we have driven them away from black coffee, what we love, and because of short-term flat white, latte art, like TikTok. To me, latte
rainbows
art
and unicorn frappuccinos. No
latte art is the
George.
TikTok. Latte art is the TikTok of coffee. It's just clicks. And we've gone away from real connection. So we need to connect people on a higher level, so that they connect with this medium of coffee, more than just a quick boost, right? So we need to get people, and what George says, we need to get people back on black coffee. But we need to also we need to get people back on a philosophical, on a political level, on a intellectual level, what coffee means, right? So I think we have to look at the mirror first and see, what have we done wrong? Where do we go from here? And create that over the next several years or a decade, basically.
Yeah. And as we do that, we're going to go into the next episode looking at the different scenarios that we're facing as we look at this coffee crisis, in inverted commas. And I think it's going to be helpful for a lot of people because we're actually going to be talking about real scenarios of how to approach solving some of these problems. So join us in the next episode, folks, for episode 2. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.